Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the founder and CEO of the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Foundation, Olympic legend, philanthropist, and a true friend of the DBE program and our mission, Jackie Joyner-Kersee.
Thank you. Thanks again for that warm welcome, and a lot of memories up there. But first of all, I want to thank IDOT for this invitation to be able to share a little bit of my journey, and then we're going to have a conversation. And so what you saw on the television, wasn't television, but you know the screen, you know what I mean, is a finished product. And that's not how it started. I grew up in East St. Louis, Illinois. My parents were 14 and 16 years of age when they had my brother, Al Joyner, first. I'm the oldest girl, and I have two younger sisters. My mother didn't quite understand what I was doing athletically. She wanted me to get a great education and a job and pay her 10% of the money that I made. So I couldn't really talk about this love, this passion I have for running, jumping, throwing, or playing basketball, because she didn't want to hear any of that. She made me read the local newspaper so I could understand current events or what was happening within our neighborhood, because as I was growing up, I always heard nothing good come from the community of East St. Louis. And I knew in my heart that wasn't true, because there's a lot of great people there trying to do some amazing things, pouring into young people like myself, seeing the potential that I did not know that I had. I just loved running, going to the park, going to a community center called the Mary Brown Center, where I was exposed to working with the librarian, at that time checking out books. I couldn't Google it, I couldn't do any of that stuff you do now. So I had to learn how to walk up and down the aisle and check the book out, and then do a book report on the book that I had selected. Then they had the Meals on Wheels program, working with the seniors who became a part of my extended family. Then Catherine Dunham, who was from our community, the Dunham teachers would come over and teach us movements about learning about our bodies and how to feel your muscles and visualization that I didn't think was very important, but eventually throughout my career, visualization played a crucial part of the success of the things that I wanted to do. And then at the center, they had this dome. And this dome is where all the recreation took place. So my sisters, my next door neighbors, I always want to be the leader, even though I didn't have rhythm with the cheerleaders and our group. But still, I'm pulling everyone together. And it's like, we're going to do what I want to do, even though I might be clumsy and tripping it over my feet. But we also cheered for the Midget League football team. And then eventually they had sign up for track and field. And they have sign-ups all the time. And my mother kept telling me, stop putting our phone number down, because you can't do everything. All these different people calling. You do not have enough time to do all those things. But I would continue to put my name and number down, because you had to sign in. And that's their way of tracking and seeing where you were going and what you were doing. So eventually, I got involved with track and field. And my sisters and my next door neighbor, they said running wasn't for them. So they weren't going to come out and help me be a part of a relay team. You know, I needed 4, and I just wanted 3 of them. And that day was too hot, and the park, we ran on cinder, dirt, and running 1 lap around that park, the coaches told us it was 400 meters. And we could never complete 1 lap around. And little did we know that it wasn't 400 meters. It was like 1,200 meters. And so my next door neighbor and my sister and them quit. And I was the only one left out there. And so I go into my first competition, and I finished last. And I said to myself that if I can improve a tenth of a second if I'm running, or a half of an inch if I'm jumping, that meant the work that we were doing was paying off. And I would get different color ribbons, being on the grass, like 4th place through 9th place, and that was always to the left and then to the right. I would always be looking up at the girls who were on the podium. They were getting first place, 2nd place, 3rd place. They got hardware, and I'm like, I want to get some hardware too. It's good to have all them different color ribbons, but I had to figure out, how do I get some hardware? And so I started setting my goals, and eventually my times, my distances, they became competitive, and I started getting some hardware. Then I find myself going to the junior nationals, and by 13 I was a national champion in pentathlon, and at that time they would put, your face, it's called Face in the Crowd in Sports Illustrated. And, and for me it was like, oh, I'm in Sports Illustrated. Like, it was a big thing, but it was just my little face. It was in there. And so that was the beginning of really wanting to see if my dream of wanting to become an Olympian was going to ever become a reality. So by the time I was 14, I saw the 76 Olympic Games on television. I saw women doing what I was trying to do. I remember seeing Evelyn Ashford, and at that time they would put the university, and it was UCLA. And Nadia Comaneci was someone that I had admired because she was 14 and she's at the Olympic Games. And I remember going back to my coaches and saying to Coach Fenor, who was my coach and still work with me today, I said, I want to go to the Olympics. He said, you got to work hard. I said, I work hard every day. He said, you got to work hard and you have the potential. And I said, well, I just want to be on television. That's all, because that's what I see, And not knowing what would take place later on in my life. And so once I go to get a scholarship in basketball to UCLA, and I'm graduating in 1980, making the transition from East St. Louis to Los Angeles. And I think I'm invincible, and I'm tough, and I'm strong, having different conversations, with my mom about not being homesick and not realizing how far away I was going to be. And every night, I would call my mother, and at that time, with landlines, you call, collect, and, she reject the call, then call you back. And so, because I ain't have any money. So, talk to my mother, and I'm telling her, everything is great, and I would hang up that phone, and I would cry every night because I was so homesick. But the option of coming back wasn't an option because I had made the decision to travel to UCLA. And my mother would always tell me, you live each moment like it's your last. Never to forget where it had come from. Remember the people who helped you along the way. And don't distance, because there's distance between us, but don't let the distance destroy you. So my first year at UCLA is challenging on so many levels. I'm diagnosed as being an asthmatic. I don't believe this because I could run, jump, throw, and I could do all these impossible things, people would say. So there's no way I can have asthma. And having that kind of attitude did more harm to me internally because I wouldn't listen to my pulmonologist. I wouldn't listen to the nurses who were really trying to help me. So I realized that it was best for me to educate myself on this disease because I didn't know that my life could be taken away in an instant if I had ever experienced or had an asthma attack. Because when I thought that I couldn't breathe, I would go to the restroom and try to catch my breath because I was afraid they were going to take my scholarship away. And I started thinking that maybe I wasn't good in the state of California. I was only good in the state of Illinois. Young mind, you just think of all kind of crazy things. Didn't know. But thank God I was surrounded by people who could recognize what was happening, sent me to the student health and went through different versions of bronchitis, give me a little medicine. I think I'm cured. I don't have asthma anymore. 2 weeks later, another flare-up. They say I got mono. And at that time, they said that's a kissing disease. I'm like, I ain't kissing nobody. And they give me some more antibiotics. And then finally, I went to an allergist. And we started getting to the beginnings of what was happening. And even with wheezing, I felt that's just, as I told the doctors, that's just normal. That's, he goes, no, that's not normal. That's wheezing. You're an asthmatic. And I said, well, then I'm not your normal asthmatic, I said, they don't put normal, no, you're an asthmatic, and so I started, that was tough to deal with, even trying to compete at the highest level and making sure that I didn't have a asthma attack or allergic reaction to, I had food allergies, all kind of different things. And so it's one night playing basketball. We were playing against the number 3 school in the nation at that time, and they had the number 1 player on the team. And with my quickness and being a defensive player, I always had to really check the top player off the other team. And my goal was to not let her score, not let her get the ball like a little gnat, And I had a great game that night. And so I was so elated, so happy. I'm calling my mother and I'm saying to her, trying to tell her that, oh, it's, everything is going good. I had this great game because I didn't really want to play basketball at UCLA because I thought I was too short and didn't know that my jumping ability and my speed, and little did I know just the little things that I brought, to the team, that as a freshman, and by this time, they wanted me to be the team captain, and I didn't feel that I had earned that right to be the team captain. Now, this is me talking, but the coaches and everyone sees the things that I don't see. And so I said to them that if I make the team next year, I'm a starter and I'm doing all these things, then I would accept that role. But right now, I just want to be I'm on the team, I'm a starter, I'm going to do everything I need to do to help us win our conference or whatever the challenge is that was before us. But I'm talking with my mother, and I'm so happy. And mind you, I can hear her sniffling, so I'm thinking the sinuses because, I know that they diagnosed me with allergies, and my mother is saying that she's going to go to the doctor tomorrow. And again, my mother will always say, live each moment like it's your last because tomorrow isn't promised to you. And when she said to me that she's going to go see the doctor tomorrow, my heart dropped because I'm like, we always talk about the moment, not tomorrow. So I got off the phone, and I'm feeling good. I lay my head down for about 2 hours because now it's after, midnight. And I get a call from my aunt. And my aunt is saying that you need to come home right away because She said, Mary is gone. I'm like, what do you mean gone? So I get up that morning. At that time, TWA flew from LA to St. Louis. Got on TWA flight, flew into St. Louis, drove over to East St. Louis. At that time, we had an existing hospital called St. Mary's Hospital. My mother's in the hospital, and she's quarantined. And one of her best friends worked in the hospital. Joyce would come over, and, I'm embracing my brother, my two sisters, and my dad. He was there, but there were a lot of things happening in our home at that time before I got ready to go off to school because I wasn't able to see my mother. And so the next time I'm seeing her is in the hospital, and they don't know what disease she had contracted at that time. But eventually it was revealed to us that she had contracted the worst form of meningitis. She's bleeding from every organ in her body. And talking with my pastor, and my mother would always put a lot of responsibility on me. I had to make the decision to either keep her on the breathing, I call it breathing machine, or to take her off. And I decided that we would take her off in hopes of that maybe she'd be able to live. And that hope was dashed. Just went flat. And she was 37 years of age. And I got my sisters and my brother and my pastor, my aunt. We're all there, and I wanted to go somewhere where my spirits could be uplifted and people who had poured into me. So I go back to the center I grew up in. And as I'm approaching the center, I get ready to pull the doors, padlocks on the door. And I started thinking, where do the young people go? I don't have a home. We're staying at my aunt's. I go back to my aunt's home, and that night I saw a visual of my mother, and I could hear the whispers of her voice about the conversations that we had. And I woke up that morning, and I said to my aunt, I must go and finish what I have started. I have a scholarship. I have a dorm room. They have a cafeteria, all the food I could ever want and need. So I get back on that plane, head back out to the West Coast, within the back of my mind of thinking about the community center. And as I go back to LA, I go on, and years pass by. I make my first Olympic team, and I set a national record in our Olympic trials, getting ready for the Olympic Games in Los Angeles in '84. I get injured probably 6 weeks out before the games are about to begin. And I go into the Los Angeles Games really hesitant and skeptical and somewhat fearful because I had never been injured before. I didn't go to the start line thinking like a champion. The first event, I go to the start line, and because my leg is heavily bandaged, I'm thinking something must be wrong. And through the 2-day competition, I'm supposed to replenish my fluids. I'm supposed to eat in between the events. but I'm so wrapped up into this bandage on my leg, and psychologically, it's getting the best of me. And even though I'm performing very well, but I don't believe I'm performing well. And so on the second day, the first event of the second day of the first event is the long jump, and the one I love the most. And sometimes you can love something so much that it could somewhat destroy you. And that's what the long jump did to me, even though I'm in control. I come down that runway, I get 2 red marks. I need 1 mark to continue in the competition. And at this time, I'm a 22-footer. So I get a safe jump. I end up jumping 20 feet, 8 inches. That's what I jumped in high school at one time. And so I am devastated. My coach at the time come out of the stands and used some very ungodly words and reminded me that heptathlon is the makeup of 7 events, not 1. So you need to wipe your tears and get ready to throw the javelin and get ready and run the 800 meters. And so javelin is one of my least favorite, but I throw it lands, and I'm good. 800 meters. I'm lining up for the 800 meters, and at the same time, they're announcing my brother Al Joyner had just won the gold medal in the triple jump. And so, yes. And so as I come around the first lap, I'm so exhausted because I was so wrapped up into my leg being heavily bandaged and not replenishing my fluids, not eating in between the events. And I get to the 500-meter mark, and my brother is on the back stretch, and he's telling me to pump my arms, and I was like, oh, I wish I had a wig, because we look so much alike, and if I could put it on him and he can finish this race, because I knew I didn't have any more energy. And so I finished up, came through. My brother rushed over to me at the finish, and I had tears was coming down my face, and he was saying, "You did good, Jackie, you did good." And I'm like, no, these are really tears of joy, because no one picked you to make the final, let alone win the gold medal. And so I'm so happy for you, and I'm going to be okay. And I told him, I said, I got to go in here to the press conference, and I'm not going to allow the media to use my leg as an excuse. I said, if God bless me to make another Olympic team, I want to be the toughest one out there mentally, because physically I know I have the ability to do it. I didn't execute what I was prepared to do. My coach and my physio and my teammates believed more in me than I believed in myself. And so leaving Los Angeles with that silver medal meant the world to me, because every day I would train, I would remember what it felt like to underestimate my own ability when I was ready to go, and to use that as motivation, not only from that moment, but to continue to use that throughout my life today. And being able to go to Seoul, Korea, and bounce back, win double gold in the heptathlon and the long jump, and being able to charter a plane, using my sponsorship dollars to take 110 students from East St. Louis, from the History Club, from Honor Society, Girls Inc., elementary school, and the track team, so they could see that New York is no different than our city or our community. And to know that the young people that was a part of that journey, and to have one of those individuals with me today, that not only she inducted me into the History Club when she was a senior in high school, she also went on and went to Howard Law Tennessee State. She's a lawyer. Eventually was my executive director of the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Center. Went on, continued. She does motivational speaking, MC, do a lot of different events. And then now she's helped serving as our COO of the Jackie Joyner-Kersee. Leisha J. Reeves, thank you for being here. Continue. Leisha was a part of that journey from '88 when I didn't have a building. Started my foundation work. I didn't forget what happened to me in 1980. I'm trying to remember, where do the young people go? So opening up the Jackie Joyner-Kersee, first just starting with the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Foundation. I said I didn't need a building to help people. So I would take my resources to the people or to the different individual groups, because I knew when my parents, they couldn't afford for me to go to track meets. I would save my 15 cents from my lunch to try to go to the meets on the weekend. And because the coaches were so wise that they recognized that, and when I said I wasn't hungry, they knew I was hungry. And they would say, go in there and try to eat anyway. And I would break those doors down too, because it wasn't like I was begging, but I did. But starting the foundation work in '88, 8 years later, breaking ground on the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Center. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Center being open. We service over 10,000 families annually. We provide over 50,000 meals. We do transportation. We pick our students up from the school, bring them into the JJK Center. They go through the Jackie Joyner-Kersee Winning in Life curriculum based off of 14 different principles around social-emotional responsibility, but also teaching soft skills to get them ready for the workforce. We also have an academy started off with just going to 3rd grade, but this year we went to 4th grade and we will go to 5th grade. We're building an agriculture, an innovation center should be completed by September of this year. And so when you think of challenges, obstacles, never lose sight of what the goals are. The challenges are going to be there. And the rewards are rewards that are already there. But we must continue to do the work. And during these difficult times is when we need each other. We need the support of one another. We need to understand and know that we will not and should not go backwards. We should continue to look forward, to move forward. Because this moment is just a moment. But each and every one of you have the power to change that moment. And to know that any obstacle is not greater than the power of many. And the power of one to keep the positivity, even though it really looked dim. But each and every one of you know what that bright light looks like. To shine in that moment. And to know that this is a moment that's testing all of our character. Testing all of our strength. But if we truly believe in what we're doing, we will endure this challenge and endure it to the end and stand strong for one another. Because your strength is going to make the difference. Not just your inner strength, but the voices that you project. And the voices that we use to know that this day too shall pass. So I thank you and I appreciate you, and I know we probably have a few questions, so I made it easy on you.
All right. Thank you, Jackie. All right, so here's what's going to happen now. This is called a fireside chat, and so this is going to be a conversation. We're going to have some Q&A. If you notice, we have some microphones. There's one right here,
Check.
and there's one
Over here.
one down that way. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to ask her a couple of questions, and feel free if you have a question you want to ask her to go up to one of these microphones. We'll have a hard stop of about 15 or 20 minutes, but I want to give you a chance to ask her a question if you like. I love this. This is surreal, me up here. If you want to know how I'm feeling right now, later on, get on YouTube and search The Chris Farley Show. If you're familiar with that at all. Remember when you won all those gold medals? That was great. Okay. Sorry. So, I love the title of this, the Fireside Chat. Being the history nerd that I am, some of you are familiar with the term fireside chat. Which president was it? Franklin Roosevelt had his fireside chats during very dark times, very challenging times. And so I think with all that we're going through, it's a very appropriate title. So, Jackie, my question to you is, you're an inspiration to many, motivation. I mean, we've got motivational speaker on the program. What kind of people have motivated or inspired you in life? Who's a motivation for you?
I would say my mom, definitely, and really the coaches and teachers and different people that really just saw the potential in me, that was always encouraging me and helping me to not really understanding my full potential, but them not giving up on me. Even if I fell short, they found ways to encourage me and motivate me to be the best. So being able to have teachers or professors but the biggest one of them all is, my mother. To see that she didn't have a high school education and never once did she pout about it. She has put us in a better position so we could do better for ourselves, and understanding that, nothing can be given to you, you have to earn it, and really fully understanding it as I continue to develop and grow what that really meant.
That's great. Thank you. And the other question I had, I don't know if we have any takers yet if you want to ask questions, feel free. We've had a lot, if you've been around TCTR long enough, you know that a lot of our motivational speakers, there's a sports angle somewhere, right? A lot of athletes, former athletes. And I think part of that is because success in sports is something you can easily define. It's something that's very tangible, very visible. You measure success by, did you run faster than the other person? Did you score more than the other person, or whatever? Speaking from observation, of course, and not experience. But why are they laughing? Success in business or success in life might be a little harder to spot. It might be some things that might seem like defeats that are actually victories. I've wondered if you've noticed any of this in your philanthropy and business dealings after the Olympic career was over.
It depends on how one measures success and what success looks like in your own vision or with your own mission. And so when we talk about success for us, or take our winning in life curriculum, people probably are focused on the word winning, but it's not about the winning. It's giving you the tools to be in a position to win, and allowing those tools not to work for you in that moment, but work for you for a lifetime. And so throughout my journey, the biggest challenge athletically is easy what I did on the field, but when you come off the field, managing people and personality is a huge challenge, and understanding where do different people need to align themselves so we can win together, by understanding that this person might be strong here, I'm gonna put someone here to help them to pull the best out of each person. So it just depends on what success means to an individual, and it could be how big their bank account is. But then you can have a huge bank account, but if you have no way of keeping it, then what good is that? But only you know that.
Right. Paul, you have a question?
Yeah, we have a question.
Hello. So, what advice would you give to young athletes facing financial or societal obstacles when pursuing their dreams?
My advice I would give to student athletes or facing a financial dream, one, learn how to save. Don't spend everything you get.
Yeah.
You know, work with a financial planner. But then also believe in yourself. I say this often that as long as you believe, you can turn a doubter into a believer. And more importantly, whatever it is that you're doing, make sure that you're enjoying it and you're having fun. And you don't have to be the best at it. But if you bring passion to it, it's amazing some of the things that you can accomplish because you love what you're doing. And there's going to be challenges along the way. And I would hope that you will look for those challenges because those challenges are going to test your character and test if this is something that you really want to do and something you really want to be involved with. And when it comes back to the financial side, because I'm telling you, when I was in school, I had a scholarship. You didn't see any of the money. All this NIL and all that stuff they doing now, I didn't have any of that, you know. And then I was getting Pell Grant, and I get my little money. I spent it all. Then the summer I ain't have any. I was like, oh, what am I supposed to do? I'm going to temporary service, trying to get a job. And I realized that you can't spend it all, you know. And if you have not been taught about financial literacy, or sometimes, you know, my mom kept it under the rug, you know, and that's what I saw. So you have to educate yourself, surround yourself with people that know a little bit more than you might know, but be a great listener and be a sponge and take in the things that you need to do so you can evolve and grow and be the best version of yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got one. Jackie, over here to your right. Given today's climate, Secretary Biage, you mentioned it. How important is something like today, this conference, and what's your message to this group?
I would say persevering, networking and working together, and really never giving up, and continue to work together. And we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. Things are forever changing by the minute. And the great thing that we all have available to us is instant notifications, information. And so I would say, stay strong, and it's easy said than done.
All right. I have a question here from Babette.
Thank you. Love you. Hi, I'm Babette Payton. I'm a national gold medalist archer. I shoot the bow and arrow.
I tried that.
I am so excited to see you up here, to meet you firsthand. I just can't say enough, and I want to invite you on my radio and TV show. Okay, so I'm not letting you know that. Okay, so what I wanted to find out is that in the times that you really felt like you didn't want to go do it, in terms of going out to practice, or maybe you weren't even feeling the best because something happened, whether it was something somebody said or somebody was being hurt or whatever, what made you get up, get out, and give it the best that you had? Especially you did a multiple of sports. That is just, people, let's give her outstanding. She didn't just do one sport. Okay, we knock for the guys and stuff that are doing basketball or football, but she did. Could you name the sports that you won in again?
So they have triathlon, so it's hurdles, high jump.
Tell us what that means.
I'm telling you.
Okay, go
they
ahead.
Have triathlon. It's the hurdles.
Okay.
High jump.
Okay.
Shot put.
Okay.
200 meters. Come back the next day, long jump, javelin, 800 meters. The heptathlon, 7 different disciplines.
Wow.
Yeah.
Give her a hand for that. That's outstanding. We just try to do one thing. You know what I'm saying? We try to do one thing, right? And then one other thing I would like to ask, besides coming on my shows, is that what advice would you give to mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, cousins, aunts, to people that they might have in their life that want to get into sports, to encourage them, especially now if you're not a winner, immediately nobody wants to deal with you? Yes. What encouragement? Because you continue to go when your mom left. You continue to go here, there. I mean, something drove you to do that.
You know, I think the most important thing is different youth programs. They exist, and letting young people have fun. And I'm not against parents being coaches, but sometimes parents need to be parents and be supportive and allow their young one to be able to be coached or work with someone. And so if they're not succeeding at the level, that mom or dad or the guardian can give them a hug and say, everything is going to be okay. You know, and the first part of your question about when I didn't feel like it, that was never my attitude. My attitude was always no one could outwork me. And when I wasn't doing the work, that means someone else was doing it. And so you're going to feel bad. You're going to feel, and when I say bad, you know, if you do a heavy workout, I didn't expect for my legs to be heavy, but yeah, that comes along with the territory. I didn't expect to get injured. I got injured. So then I had to learn how to deal with it mentally. And so you can't say you want to do something. You got to get up and do it. You can't think about it, because if you think about it long enough, you're going to have an excuse, say, I'm going to do it tomorrow or the next day or the day after that. So it's really saying that when you up and you ready, you go and you do it. And then don't do too much. Just do a little bit. Leave wanting more and say, oh, I know I could do more. Even like now when I'm working out, I used to work out 8 hours a day. Now I do that little 2-hour work. I ain't done anything, and I be upset. But I'm not trying to be an Olympian. You know, I tell my husband, I just need a little workout. He want to give me 600s, and I'm like, no, I want to do 50 meters. I don't want to do no 600. You know, so again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have, that's humbling. She works out 8 hours a day more than me. We have time for one more question over here.
Once upon a time.
Hi, thank you so much for coming to Springfield and coming back to Illinois. The question I have is, not every dollar offered to you is a good dollar. How do you determine or know in your business realm and for your foundation and for the center when what is being presented to you is right for the foundation, the center, for you? And how do you say no gracefully so that door doesn't always stay closed? I think that may be something helpful for some of the businesses here.
For us, and I would hope it's the same for you all as well, that it must align with your vision and your mission and your core values, no matter how much the money is. And I have been in position where people want me to endorse certain things, but it doesn't align with my core values and the things that I want. In the same way with the foundation, that no matter how tough it may appear at this given moment, that we don't just say, yes, we're going to do this because it's the money. The money can't dictate the direction we want to go in. Our core values dictate. It might take a little longer, but in the end, we won't sell our soul to just get a piece of whatever that pie may be. So I would say gracefully, it doesn't align with your core values. I don't know how gracefully you can get with that, and people understanding that. I think it's a great idea and a great opportunity, but this is not an opportunity we want to pursue.
Well, Jackie, on behalf of our IDOT family and our TCTR attendees, I want to thank you so much for coming. It's been a privilege. Let's give it up for Jackie Joyner-Kersee.
Thank you, and good luck to you all.
So much.